I managed this trade pretty much as well as I could. I added into the position once it was confirming my idea. I didn't move my stop loss. I took profits aggressively at the level I said that I would. And I want to show you my trade here. But first, to start the year, we're going hot. Only one loss to I think 6 or 7 wins. But we're ending the days green. That's really all that matters. Tuesday was the only day that we had to battle it out. But let's just get right into my trade first off here. It's going to be on NQ again. Pretty strong opening range. The first 15 minutes of the day here, all sellers in control. I have my full VWAP strategy available for free online on ASFX TV. You can just use code FIRST or the link down below and get free access to it. You'll see that this first break of opening range, I'm not really interested in it. Often doesn't really run very far, if at all. So we just see that as sellers breaking it. But let's see if we can get a pullback. If we get a pullback to this New York VWAP, I would be looking for a bounce there, but you can see it really doesn't bounce off it and come back down. So no shorts yet. Some people did trying to play that price, and it's not the worst, but you definitely do want to have a, if you're selling it there, you want to have a stop loss above in case this isn't done pulling back, because you still have this black overnight view up above us, which is also confirming the shorts. For sure, it's full view up alignment, but we're not getting that turn yet. So the first sign to sell it would be this break below New York. Finally, sellers taking it back after holding this overnight. Here's our lower high. Sellers are taking this New York view up. Let's go get the next lower low. And you can see the speed of things today was just not there. But the setup is valid. Now, the reason I didn't just jump into this, we'll take a look at it in just a second. ES looked horrible. Pretty weird week to start off the year, where I think it was on Tuesday, stocks were moving lower, but the indices were going higher. Today, ES is moving slightly higher, NQ is moving lower. How am I supposed to keep track of all this? Of where do we want to go? So just confusing myself, talking myself out of trade. So I just didn't just jump into the shorts. Could have regretted it, but then sellers or buyers try to make a stab back higher again. They fail with another lower high. Now sellers take back the New York again. All right, let's just keep things simple. We've been below the New York VWAP most of this morning here. We're below this black overnight. On the top of the screen here, you can see we're below the previous day's New York. We have full VWAP alignment. The 15-minute is bearish structure since the changeover. I think Nvidia was down like 2%. Everything there is telling you to sell it. Let's just get involved, right? Stop overcomplicating things. If you lose, you lose. But it's a good setup with a good stop loss at previous structure, right? This would be current structure. I don't want a stop loss there. Give it some room to the left, the last lower high, and we get a nice, try to get a push lower for the next lower low. It just still wasn't there. Now, we don't just bail on the trade because it's coming back up, or say, oh God, why did I short this? Maybe I should be jumping into longs. You're still below the black VWAP. Sellers are in control until structure is broken, aka my stop loss. I have to like the shorts because it's still more so bearish on top, and the sentiment of the markets are still moving lower. So as we made our third lower high here, sellers take New York view up again. It's the same entry price I had back here. I added in another contract. I didn't add into a losing position hoping it would come back down. It's at my same price. It just painted another lower high, telling me sellers are still making a stand. I think this warrants an add-in, and that way, when we do trade for the new lows, I can make the same amount of money. I don't need to stretch it as far, right? When I add in, I'm not necessarily saying, oh, I want to go make more money. I can still try to make the same amount of money I was originally risking, just in less distance, right? So I don't need to hold this as long. But I've said in many videos that this pullback strategy, I want to trade back to structure to the left, right? So in this case, here's our pullback. I want to trade back down to that low, right? Obviously, we're trying to get it here. We're trying to get it there. It just isn't happening. But I want to just trade back to structure. I don't want to have to need a breakout, chase a breakout for new lows. So that's why, especially when it takes this long, I know it's right next to my camera here. As you finally get that push to low of day, thank you very much. We're back at the lows. I'll take my win there. It's a little bit less than 1 hour, but I added into the trade. It took about 40 minutes to an hour. Normally, my best trades don't take that long. We'll take the win and move on. And that was what was, I think, the low of day. You can see here, my exit would have been back down here. It doesn't make a new low a day. So that was a very, very good exit rather than being greedy for even more. If I didn't close it here, what does it do? It goes right back up to my entry price. And that's going to piss a lot of people off if they had a stop loss at break even, or it's not at break even yet, and now they're potentially maybe taking a loss. So just perfectly executed from entry to add in to the exit. So very pleased with myself on a nice streak to start the year. Now, another thing to look at, we got a second look at ES because it was a little bit confusing. There was potentially another setup back here later on in the afternoon, now like 1 o'clock. Sellers defend the overnight view up again, like they did back here. I know it's not looking super bearish from the lack of lower lows. I see all of this chop. I mean, this price is not wanting to go lower. I see that. So that's why this isn't an amazing short. But are there any more buyers? Not really. I mean, we haven't spent any time above this black overnight view up. So the lack of sellers doesn't mean that there's an abundance of buyers. There's really nothing of no one. So I think you could try to play this short with some stats behind you that if you've seen my videos, I've talked about the edge report of the initial balance. That's the first hour of the day. If we turn that on here, you can see the low. It's pretty identical to the opening range here. But we still have no breaks of this initial balance. And we know we probably will. If we go over to Edgeful, you'll see on this report, just on weekdays, Thursdays, only 5 out of the last 49 Thursdays, so 10% of them have just never broken out of the sides. So being 90% chance that we do break out of the range, you could say, well, there's still no breaks. Sellers are kind of trying to stand in. I think we'll eventually go get that low and try to break it. You can see the whole session. No breaks. Didn't make it to the highs, didn't make it to the lows. So it's one of those 10% days. So you could have played the shorts there following a 90% probability that at least one of the sides was taken. It's one of those 10% days. So that's super tough if you are taking that. I don't think it's a bad short. I think it's just tough discretionarily. Where's the trend, my friend? There is none. It was also iffy during my trade. But you take a look at ES, that doesn't look bearish. It's above its overnight VWAP, above its New York VWAP, making higher lows off of it, where I like to find bounce plays for longs, right? So it's a very indecisive day of saying I'm short on NQ and I'm strong convicted on it that I think we're going to go lower, so much so that I'm going to add in. And then ES all the while is moving higher above its VWAP. So just a super tricky day. I can understand why someone wouldn't love my shorts. I don't love your longs, right? Whatever. I think the thing that I'm also looking at is the 15-minute. On the day, it's very choppy above the overnight VWAP, but look at the pre-market high. It's just chopping in there. It still hadn't made a new high of day, and it pinned this previous day's New York. So is the trend really moving higher, or are we just kind of slowly chugging along? Especially look at NQ down here. The reason I love the shorts, changeover of day, lower high, lower high. My shorts somewhere in here, trading back down to the lows. It's lower highs and lower lows. Of course I'm bearish, right? Especially when we had the day prior finish the day bearish, continue it. So it's been nothing but sellers. That's why I think it was an easy short on NQ. But the biggest lesson is just not being greedy on your exits, especially when you see it slowing or take a while to get to your profit, right? I didn't just sell it here and it's shoved for a new low within minutes because there's a lot of sellers. It took about 40, 50 minutes with a lot of indecision. So when I finally get an attempt at that low, I got to cover profits. So hopefully you guys made money as well. It didn't lose money. I know some people were shorting and longing ES. And like I said, you can kind of see both sides of it. I don't love the shorts and the fact that we're above the VWAP, but I could say I don't love the longs into that resistance. I mean, you're just chopping in here. Good luck with that. If you're chasing breakouts in either direction, you're getting cooked, even on NQ later in the day. So the whole idea is just to survive. If you could bag your win like I did, move on with your day, come back tomorrow, hopefully find some cleaner trend. We'll look to maximize on those days with 2 trades or the day. I mean, we could even go to my Wednesday. This is on Thursday. Wednesday, 2 longs. Nice clean trending move up. I'll capitalize on that. And then later in the afternoon or later in the morning, I think like 30 minutes later, another clean trending long. I'll maximize on these days. If I could walk away with some sort of small win, whatever, on this choppiness when it doesn't even make a new low a day, that's a win. If I didn't blow up my account, if I didn't have a max daily loss, if I didn't trade 6 times, that's a win. That's a step in the right direction. So that's what you should be focused on. The setups were there. They just didn't really execute well because there wasn't a lot of strong sentiment in one direction. So hopefully you guys will tune into stream. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you guys all get access to my Futures 2.0 strategy where this bounce play is in. I did an update to it about a month ago. So check that out. You also get access to the live streams where we take these trades every morning. You can see we were in it this morning. Here's the start of my short, which we saw the exit of it. So join in there, ask questions, understand the strategy, why we're missing trades, why we're taking this one, how are we managing this one. You can see here's my long yesterday. So the boys are trading well. Everyone's taking payouts. The year's off to a hot start. So make sure you jump in there, ask some questions, and I'll see you guys on stream tomorrow morning.